Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Quintana. I'm the Plant-Based Eating Program Manager for Animal Protection of New Mexico. Plant-based eating is a powerful action you can take for animal protection, but the impacts reach far beyond non-human animals. Following a plant-based diet is an effective tool for helping the environment, improving and maintaining your personal health and wellness, and supporting social justice and human rights movements. We're going to be viewing some portions of videos from Nonviolence United, Mercy for Animals, and the documentary What the Health to explore some of the different ways that plant-based eating helps protect our planet, our health, and all of our fellow Earthlings. Thanks for tuning in.
People everywhere are making choices more connected with their values. We are simplifying our lives, buying less, and living more because we know that the earth supplies enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. We recycle because we know the earth's resources are limited and that we must share those resources with those yet to come. We buy fair labor and fair trade goods in order to, well, be fair. We buy organic to keep chemicals off the land and out of our water, to protect wildlife, to keep farm workers and their children safe, and to keep our bodies healthy. We conserve water, save energy, and plug into the power of Mother Nature because we realize that when we make connected choices, we not only build better lives for ourselves, we build a better world for everyone. Still, there is one connected choice that often gets overlooked. It's one of the most far-reaching personal, practical, and ethical choices you can make. With this choice, we can help feed ourselves and every hungry person on the planet, end deforestation, replenish the deep woods of the north and save our disappearing rainforests, revitalize our rural landscapes and save family farms, stop the #1 polluter of water and the #1 waster of water, return our oceans to thriving underwater worlds teeming with life and wonder, make cancer and heart disease a rarity instead of a common occurrence, and return wildlands to their rightful owners. This powerful choice can be done by everyone, every day, by you, right now, with this. We are all connected. The choices we make affect not only our lives, but the lives of other people. If we use more than our share, we are taking from other people and from those yet to come. In this day and age, in a world of plenty, it is difficult to understand how, all over the world, nearly 1 billion people are going hungry, and 40,000 will starve to death every single day. This doesn't happen because there isn't enough for everyone. This happens because, while people are starving, we are wasting enormous amounts of grain to feed cows, pigs, chickens, and other animals so that we may satisfy our desire for meat, milk, and eggs. The earth can provide only so much food. While the human population is growing and growing, the tiny amount of land on which we can grow food is not. Because raising animals for food takes so much land, water, and other resources, the Earth would be able to sustain only about 2 billion people on a meat and dairy-based diet. With a world population of nearly 7 billion people, it's easy to see that we need to find a better way. Vegan choices support a world where all may be fed. Vegan choices require only a fraction of the land and far fewer resources than what is needed to produce animal products. The equation is simple. The fewer animal products we consume, the more people we can feed. If we ignore this simple fact, more and more people will be going hungry as the world population continues to grow. Vegan choices also promote your own health and the health of others. The #1 killers in the United States, heart disease and cancer, are conclusively linked to consuming animal products. Vegan choices work to make these diseases a rarity and refuse to contribute to their escalating spread around the world as animal-based diets are pushed on other countries and upon the poor. Millions of people, instead of supporting the export of disease and hunger, are taking personal responsibility. They are being the change they want to see in the world. Their vegan choices are prolonging and bettering their own lives, easing the burden on the planet, and making a life-sustaining commitment to future generations. Vegan choices conserve land, water, and energy. In fact, raising animals for food consumes so many resources that making vegan choices is one of the most powerful things you can do as an individual to help save the planet. One of the top contributors to global climate change is raising animals for food. That's right. While we're being encouraged to change our light bulbs and drive hybrid automobiles, the United Nations found that raising animals for human consumption contributes to global warming more than all the planes, cars, and trucks on the planet combined. 40% more. To feed and water farmed animals takes enormous amounts of water. To produce just 1 pound of meat requires on average 2,500 gallons of water. A gallon of cow's milk, 750 gallons of water. By simply making vegan choices, you can save over 1.3 million gallons of water every year. That's so much water that being vegan, you could leave your shower on 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and still you couldn't waste as much water as someone consuming an animal-based diet. Many of us recycle paper because we want to save trees. But the number one reason for cutting down trees, including the destruction of the rainforest, is to clear land to grow food for farmed animals. In just 1 year, a vegan saves a full acre of trees, equal to millions of pieces of paper. The billions of animals we raise for food not only use most of our water and eat most of our food, they poop most of it out. In the US, farmed animals produce 130 times more excrement than the entire human population, 86,000 pounds per second. Per second! That's enough to rebuild the Denver skyline every 24 hours out of poop. This concentrated slop pollutes our water, destroys our topsoil, and contaminates our air. We have forgotten that the oceans used to teem with life. Whales and dolphins and sea turtles were common and abundant. Schools of fish were so plentiful the waters would tumble and froth with life. But now, our oceans are dying. Industrial fishing has caused a global decline in fish populations to near extinction in most parts of the ocean. Massive nets miles long scrape the ocean depths and indiscriminately scoop up and suffocate everyone in their catch. Turtles, seals, dolphins, whales, and billions of struggling fish. And industrial fish and shrimp farms are creating environmental dead zones. Massive amounts of concentrated waste from these factory farms smother the ocean floor and choke the life from it. But it's not too late. Imagine a world of clean air, clean water, millions upon millions of acres of replanted forests, and flourishing grasslands, thriving oceans teeming with life and wonder, and vast expanses of wildlands given back to nature, and the wild animals who used to call them home. Vegan choices work so that all of this may one day again be the world we all share. In order to feed hundreds of millions of people animal products, the factory lines have to move fast. Very fast. In the US alone, every year we kill over 10 billion farmed animals and over 17 billion sea animals. We kill over 3 million scared and helpless animals every single hour of every single day. How can it be that 95% of Americans feel it is wrong to unnecessarily hurt and kill helpless animals, yet 95% of Americans continue to unnecessarily hurt and kill helpless animals so they can eat them? Why the disconnection? It's time to connect. When you make vegan choices, you stand up for the meekest among us, those who rely entirely on your ability to show compassion. You stand up for farmed animals and refuse to pay anyone to harm them on your behalf. You stand up for the millions of wild animals who are displaced and brutally killed to make room for farmed animals and profits. And you help rebuild the wildlands they call home. Most of us have had the opportunity to get to know an animal. When you get to know them, you quickly find out that they each have their own personalities, their own quirks, their own ways. You can tell when they're happy, or sad, or scared, and sometimes we forget that this is true for all animals. And most of us have felt the unconditional love of an animal, that deep bond that seems to go beyond our human connections. We talk to our dogs and to our cats, and sometimes we connect with them more deeply than with anyone else. They love us, and we love them. You can feel that connection again and again by giving your love to every animal, those we call our pets, wild animals, and those who suffer on farms and in factory farms. Make vegan choices to align with your true love for animals. Expand your circle of compassion, and the love will come back to you 1,000 times. Each of our choices in the past helped build the world we live in today. And each of our choices from this moment forward will help build the world of tomorrow. There is a way to build a better world, a world in which we would all like to live, a world driven by the innate goodness of people and their values of justice, kindness, and compassion for other people, for the planet, for the animals. Vegan. Every day you are invited to make choices. Live your values, change the world. It's that simple.
Can you picture a world without birds, or an ocean empty of fish? This could be our future. Ecologists say humans are causing a massive extinction, similar to the one that killed off the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. By some estimates, we're losing up to 150 species per day. What's the largest cause of this massive die-off of wildlife? Some experts say it's animal agriculture.
Concerned researchers of the loss of species agree that the primary cause of loss of species on our Earth that we're witnessing is due to overgrazing and habitat loss from livestock production on land and by overfishing, which I call fishing, in our oceans.
Wildlife have always been seen as a threat to domesticated animals. But now that animal agriculture is a $1 trillion global industry and occupies about 45% of the Earth's land and almost half of the land in the lower 48 states, the stakes are much higher. Wild animals are considered a major threat to Big Ag's profits. In the United States, an entire government agency is dedicated to killing wildlife to protect the meat industry. Formerly known as Animal Damage Control, this agency is now called Wildlife Services, and it's a division of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Don't let the new name fool you. They aren't providing services to wildlife. When a rancher or farmer feels wild animals are threatening his herd or competing with them for food, he can call up Wildlife Services and have his problem taken care of. This rogue agency killed an average of 7,400 animals every day in 2014. In what many conservation groups have called the USDA's war on wildlife, since 2000 it has killed at least 2 million mammals, like bears, wolves, and otters, and 15 million birds, like golden and bald eagles. That's more animals than the human populations of Pennsylvania and Connecticut combined. Often operating illegally, Wildlife Services uses brutal traps, snares, poison, and aerial gunning to wipe out wildlife. And it kills so indiscriminately that it often poisons non-target animals, including family pets. This is Bella, a family's beloved dog who was killed by a Texas Wildlife Services trapper.
This is an agency that has completely run amok. They answer to no one. And it's been like that since its inception in 1931.
Those staggering numbers don't even include the hundreds of thousands of wild horses that the federal government has rounded up and removed from public lands since the 1970s. Thanks to efforts by another federal agency, the Bureau of Land Management, wild horses and burros have been wiped out of 40% of their original habitat, all to make room for the meat industry. Today, 8 times more federal, that is publicly owned, land is authorized for livestock grazing than for wild horses. Who pays for all this? You and I do. U.S. taxpayers fund what could be the world's largest government-orchestrated wildlife extermination program. Ranchers and farmers don't pay a dime, but they are the ones who benefit. According to the Center for Biological Diversity, 175 species that live on U.S. federal lands are threatened by ranching. Wild animals aren't just directly killed by ranchers and the government. They're also threatened by pollution and habitat loss from factory farms, as well as climate change, for which the animal agriculture industry is largely responsible. There's no question that the secretive, rogue government agencies like Wildlife Services that are in bed with the meat industry should be shut down. But we consumers have a role to play in this problem too. The average American consumes about 270 pounds of meat annually. When we leave meat off our plates, we aren't just sparing farmed animals from suffering. We're also helping to save this guy, this gal, and these folks too.
By crowding these animals in, they become a perfect engine for generating a new flu virus that can come out into the community. If you lived near a swine spray field, not even the CAFO, but the waste disposal field, you were 3 times more likely to have a MRSA infection. You can't see how it impacts the average person's life in Duplin County, North Carolina, and not be a little upset about it.
From an environmental standpoint, from a community standpoint, from all other aspects, North Carolina, we're in a state of emergency. We've already had bouts of swine flu, or H1N1 as they prefer to refer to it. That particular swine flu incident was originated on a farm here in North Carolina. There's approximately the same number of hogs in North Carolina as there are people. Between 8 to 10 times the amount of feces is produced by a hog, an adult hog, as compared to an adult human.
10 million pigs in North Carolina produce the waste equal to 100 million humans. This is the equivalent of the entire U.S. eastern seaboard flushing their toilets into North Carolina. But there is no waste treatment. The pigs' waste falls through slats in the floors of the sheds they are forced to live in. It is then pumped into giant waste pits, which leach into rivers and streams, and is pumped out unfiltered onto fields, further polluting the environment and neighboring health.
When you go back and you look at where these hog facilities are located, there's a disproportionate number of them that are located near communities of color, low-income communities. It is definitely a human rights issue.
My sister, she have asthma, and her brother, he have asthma. He's 3, and we don't know what she might have. I have asthma, I have sinus, I have sarcoidosis, that's the bacteria, and I have a pacemaker, which is 6 sinus syndrome. But mostly everybody in this neighborhood got asthma or either cancer. My neighbor there died from cancer probably just last year. My nephew down the street, he's got cancer. He's in terminal cancer, stage 4. He's not a smoker, not a drinker. And it's not in his lungs. It's in his lymph nodes. But see, if you live here and saw the way they do, you wouldn't eat no pork. Well, I don't eat bacon because I know where it comes from. When they die, they go into a box and they decompose because they swell especially from heat. A truck come and pick them up, take them to the processing plant in Rose Hill, ground them up into feed, and feed it back to the hogs. If I come out this door, if he's spraying there, it's gonna come in my face. It hit you right in the face. It smell like something that you have never smelled before. It smells worse than a dead body. It's the family graveyard. I have my grandmother out there, my sisters, my brothers. When we go to the funeral, he used to spray.
During the funeral?
During the funeral, yes. During the funeral. Yeah, he spray. And when the people come, everybody be closing their nose up, saying how it stank. They can want to have a cookout on Sunday, he'll spray.
Do you think he does it on purpose?
I think so. Because he just sprays Sunday. He always sprays Sunday. And in most of these area, hog houses and turkey house is in the black area or the Hispanic area. It's either or.
Do you think it's also a civil rights issue?
Yes, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
There have been times in the past that I have gotten ready on the Sunday, gotten ready to go to church and come out, and the smell was so strong that I had to go back and regroup because it got in my clothes and I just couldn't go to church smelling like hogs, you know. I just couldn't do it. So I don't think the government cares. They care more about cooperation than do people, individuals.
And they're going to keep on. They're going to put more chickens in this state. This is the feast season. You're in capital of the world right here in North Carolina. My state. Look, there's a blue line stream right here come into my property almost, and the Contentney Creek right here. I've seen that blue line stream now filled with feces and urine from that hog pen, and they can say, well, we feed the world. They're not interested in feeding the world. They're interested in making money. You take the money away from them, they'll let the folks starve. Because if you want to feed the world, you can feed the world with more corn, using corn and wheat and stuff like that, and you can meat. Meat is a luxury item. When we're doing things that hurt other people, we're wrong. But a lot of good people will sit there and eat bacon knowing that it's causing someone else to be very unhappy.
I woke up the next morning to find the Burden River had experienced another massive fish kill from the pollution running off hog farms. Tens of thousands of fish were washing up on shore. All this talk about health, I realized that I was only focused on personal health. But health started to mean so much more to me. It was about health of my family and our communities. I couldn't under good conscience support an industry that I knew was harming others. Pollution from animal agriculture isn't just an issue in North Carolina, though. Raising animals for food produces more greenhouse gases than the entire transportation sector. It is a leading cause of rainforest destruction, species extinction, ocean dead zones, and freshwater consumption. So many people eat meat and dairy every day of their lives, and we are so concerned about getting enough protein.
Do we have to eat meat to get complete protein?
Oh my God. Oh my God. You want me to jump off this building, don't you? Well, first of all protein is made by plants. I'll state that again for the record. All protein is initially made by plants, all of it. And it is not necessary to eat animal tissue in order to get protein. Only plants have the ability to actually take nitrogen from the air, break those molecules apart, and incorporate that nitrogen into amino acids and then make protein. Any protein you get from an animal is simply recycled plant protein.
If you ate a diet that was calorically adequate, and even things like brown rice and broccoli, and you got enough of it, you'd get enough both quantity and quality of protein. 2,000 calories of brown rice and broccoli is going to be about 80 grams of protein a day, including the essential amino acids that you need in order to maintain optimum health.
I mean, grains are loaded with protein. Beans are loaded with protein. Vegetables are loaded with protein.
You really want to get your protein from plants because plant proteins have a much more beneficial effect on our physiology.
The funny thing about protein is most Americans get about twice the amount they need. Most Americans get less than half the amount of fiber they need. But the conversation tends to always be about protein. So in my mind, it's just this magical marketing campaign that protein has taken on over the decades.
The question is not where do you get your protein, it's where do you get your fiber?
I have never in my professional career seen a protein deficiency. I've never seen someone come in eating normal amounts of calories and they're protein deficient. You just don't see that.
So human milk has the lowest protein content ever in any species ever tested. I mean, that's the fluid that's been designed by evolution over millions of years. And that's just like the perfect food for human babies, right? Perfect food, lowest protein content any other mammal. And so it gives a sense of kind of the protein requirements for food. Anything. So look, then rat milk, ape milk, donkey milk, any milk has ever been tested.
And you hear this a lot in bodybuilders. They're like, well, I need, chicken, or I need fish to be, to be strong, to build muscle tissue. That is utter nonsense. The largest, strongest terrestrial animals on the planet are all herbivores. The biggest, strongest animals are all herbivores.
When we bring in people and they're on meaty diets and we transition them to a plant-based diet, we always track what they're eating. Their vitamin intake goes up. their nutrition overall goes up, dramatically better. And these same people might worry in advance, will I get the nutrition that I need on a plant-based diet? The fact is, you're not getting the nutrition you need on a meat-based diet, and you're going to get dramatically better nutrition on a plant-based diet.
For an average-sized guy like myself, I need about 56 grams of protein a day. That's optimum. Probably I really need 30 to 40 grams a day. Diets that are really high in these protein create diabetes, create heart disease, create cancer, create the diseases that I'm treating on a daily basis.
I came to True North to help me with my asthma and to lose a little weight, and it's amazing. Just in 2 weeks of changing my diet, don't have to take any asthma medication, no antidepressants, no pain medication, no heart medication, nothing, no medications at all. And it's just incredible. I was taking Oxy and Advil, and I was taking 800 milligrams of Motrin 3 times a day just to get through the day because I was in so much pain. And now, nothing.
Wow.
Nothing at all.
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
So you're
14
taking
days.
All that medication, you're completely off.
Completely off everything. It's just been so frustrating to me because I went to so many different doctors for help, and I tried so many different medications to help me with my asthma, and nothing helped, and I was stuck on the couch for the last 10 months, unable to breathe. And now in 2 weeks' time, 14 days, I'm off my medication, and I can breathe, and I feel good, and I can walk. My life has changed, and it only took 2 weeks of a whole plant-based diet.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
It really is.
That's amazing.
It really is. I feel so blessed and so good and just so happy to be doing this, and I'm hoping that I can be a role model for other people and not be pushy about it, because everyone's going to do it in their own time. But thank God my time is now. Thanks. Thanks.
As powerful as Amy's story was, I knew for some, eating 100% plant-based would still seem extreme.
I think there's this sense that everything's okay in moderation, right? But we haven't seen that moderation works. There really isn't a study that shows that by eating meat and eggs in moderation, you can actually turn your heart disease around and get better.
But I know people who've given up meat and they felt sick.
Yeah, it's unlikely that anybody's symptoms are caused by a dead, decaying flesh deficiency. The lack of highly processed animal food products in the diet is not going to be associated with the causal factor about why they're sick. There is going to be a reason why they're not feeling well, but that's not going to be one of them.
So I've had people go vegan and they come back to me and they're like, I'm hypothyroid, and my doctor says I'm hypothyroid because plant-based diet makes you hypothyroid. I'm like, so what does your doctor tell all his meat eaters that are hypothyroid?
Well, what's an animal flesh or dairy that you can't get in plant-based?
Cholesterol, heterocyclic amines, E. coli. If you think about it, there is nothing in an animal-based diet that you can't get in healthier form somewhere else.
The only other vitamin is vitamin B12. It's not made by plants, not made by animals either, made by little microbes that blanket the earth. So because the way we live in our sanitized world, unless you're eating bacteria-contaminated foods, we need to get a source of B12 from somewhere. And so the healthiest, cheapest, safest source is to get a vitamin B12 fortified food or vitamin B12 supplement, not to get it from meat and dairy.
What about people who say they have to eat meat for their blood type or their genes?
I mean, it's like I need meat because I'm a Capricorn, or I need meat because I have an A+ blood. I mean, it's like, what do you say? No one has to eat meat. I mean, there's no vitamin, mineral, nutrient that you can't get from non-animal sources.
Valentine's Day, I decided to go vegan and give up all meat, which was never in my thoughts in a million years, but I've heard so much success from people that are vegan. And so I gave up all animal products whatsoever. I've lost 29 pounds. I've been able to cut my meds in half. I've been able to cut my insulin in half. And now I'm going for the moon. I'm going to cut it all out. In the last 6 weeks, we've just had 3 grandchildren. And my ugly face is going to be around to see them graduate from high school and college. I'm going to be here.
My mission is to let everybody know you do not have to suffer
from diabetes and cancer and heart disease because someone in your family had it or because the doctors are telling you this is what's going to happen. You can take charge of your health and have a positive outcome just like I did. The reason I'm so committed to this is, my grandmother had diabetes, and I didn't know what I know now about healing the body. And if I did, I feel like she could have lived at least a few years longer. And so it's in her honor that I do what I do. Because I could save someone else's grandmother, aunt, uncle, father from that, So I'm excited about getting the message out there.
There's a common belief that eating plant-based is expensive.
Not at all. It can be done in a very inexpensive way where you buy foods that are in season and you shop in the bulk bins, and that saves a lot of money. You can eliminate a lot of your expenses on your grocery bill by not buying meat and dairy because those things are expensive. Our meal plan for a family of 4 is $25 per person in the family.
2064 is your total. 2064, whoa. That's for an entire week of food. Really?
An exploding movement of elite athletes are utilizing vegan diets to heal injuries, speed recovery times, and enhance their performance.
Before I was vegan, I was only bench pressing 315 like 5 times. Then after going vegan, I was doing 400, 425, 465. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm vegan and I'm bench pressing 465 pounds. This is ridiculous. And as soon as I went vegan, tendinitis started disappearing. My strength in my right arm started coming back. High blood pressure was going down. You can't be strong and be dying on the inside. That's not strong. That's weak. That's really weak because you look big and strong on the outside. Yeah, big man. No, but your heart's crying for help on the inside. You're dying.
I'm a professional parkour athlete, a 2-time world freerunning champion, and more recently I got into Ninja Warrior where I'm captain of Team Europe as we won USA versus the world. For something like Ninja Warrior and parkour specifically, you really need to have a good strength to body weight ratio. So I was carrying mass that I really didn't need. And when I went vegan, I lost 15, 20 pounds. I was more agile, I was more efficient, more stamina in my body. Just that extra bit of pop that I didn't have before, it just gave me that extra strength. So this is a very vibrant way to live. It can enhance you as an athlete. For me, 100% better athlete than I was before. It unlocked a whole new chapter of my training. The science is there, the health is there, the athletes are there proving that you don't need to eat dead animals to be strong, to be healthy.
I started working out when I was 47 years old. All the muscles you see, I gained as vegan. I gained 15 pounds of muscles on my body, eating all plant-based vegan foods. All the aches and pains in my body, it just went away. Because I'm not ingesting so many inflaming foods, the acidic foods that animal products are. Gorillas, rhinos, and elephants, they all get their muscles and strength from eating plants. That's what I do.
I travel all around the world for my surfing, and I've always been able to eat vegan. I feel like if you want something, you can make it happen. I just don't make any excuses. I would never not be vegan now that I know all the benefits and now that I know how it feels to be vegan.
Every aspect of my life has been improved by adopting this lifestyle. I feel better, I perform better athletically, I sleep better, my energy with my kids is better, my focus at work is better, everything is better. My skin cleared up, kept myself trim for 9 years now doing this. All I can tell you is that I felt and I continue to feel better than I ever felt before. My friend Jason Lester and I were the first people to do this challenge called Epic 5, which entailed doing 5 Ironmans on 5 Hawaiian islands in under a week. An Ironman is a 2.4-mile swim followed by a 112-mile bike and then running a marathon, 26.2 miles after that. So we did 5 of those in a row on 5 different islands in a little under a week.
Yeah. You almost die?
Yeah.
Where'd you get die? So I guess the famous question, where did you get your protein in there?
From plants.
Like so many people, I was looking for excuses not to change my diet. But once I finally did, I felt liberated. Within days, I could feel the blood running through my veins with a new vitality. Within weeks, I felt a transformation throughout my entire body and mind. Not only could I survive on a purely plant-based vegan diet, I could thrive. I felt amazing. I competed in my first marathon in 6 years, training half the amount and beat my personal record by 23 minutes. Less than a month later, I did my first full Ironman. Although I could possibly get away with eating a little bit of meat and dairy without ill effects to my personal health, I could no longer willingly support an industry I knew was causing so much suffering to communities, families, and all life on the planet. A whole new world opened up. I felt whole again, connected to a greater sense of what true health is, and where true health doesn't end with me, but begins with us.
If people adopted a plant-based diet, the changes we would see in our individual health, in our national health situation, and in this physical environmental world we live in would be so profound.
I mean, today, you can say, I'm not going to eat that stuff anymore. It's one thing that I can do myself personally to make a difference.
It will give you a greater sense of well-being and happiness when you know that, one, you're not destroying your health every time you sit down to eat, you're not promoting cruelty, and you're not damaging the earth.
I don't want my gains to be at the detriment of the planet of other things. And yet I'm not weaker, I'm stronger. That's the beauty of it. When you're altruistic, when you make choices for the greater good of others, it comes around, benefits me as well. It benefits us all.
Studies show that we can not only survive, but we can thrive.
I just feel this is a great way to live, not harming other beings when we can be healthy and happier. I love it. It's a great life.
I never thought that I could feel this good at this age, and I just want everybody to feel this way. I feel like a 20-year-old. I'm almost 50.
Nothing tastes as good as healthy feels, basically.
And so the choices that we make every single day, day in and day out, around our food, has the capacity to bring us true health and optimal wellness, not just individually, but collectively, as a species and for our planet.
We're not going to live forever, but while we are alive, we can live well. And for me as a doctor, that's what I want to see.
Where there's a will, there is a way. And I believe that.